So the first part of this video is going to be for just about everybody. The second part of this video is going to be more so for those of us who are not on a fixed income, who do not have a low income, or who struggle with money, so to say. It's the second part of this video is more so for the people who have money that they can spend, or more money, or who are able to get a loan without going into a financial crisis. For those of us who can afford more expensive things. So this is the first part of the video, and that is during SHTF, the very beginnings of a crisis are probably some of the most crucial parts, and that goes for natural disaster, EMP, nuclear war, pretty much anything, collapse, anything and everything. Pretty much the beginning of the situation is going to be the most important part. The faster you do shit, the better you're going to be off. So let's just go with a general EMP and collapse. So EMP just hit. You're going to want to assume that it's nationwide. Even though it may or may not be, it's best to assume that it's nationwide, and don't go thinking that it isn't nationwide, because if it is, you're going to be very disappointed and possibly unprepared for long-term events. So first off, be prepared that it's nationwide, or assume that it is nationwide. Second, you're going to want to get your mag together ASAP. If you already have one, then good. If you don't have a mag right now, which is a mutual assistance group, while times are relatively good, I would highly suggest that you form one. Get together with people you know and trust, that you can help each other out during these kind of times. For me, it's my neighbors. So I have a mag, and if I was at home and SHTF were to happen, let's say the event that we're going with, the EMP and collapse, then I would get with my neighbors immediately, and we would start implementing things into, putting our plans into effect, and secure the perimeter of our properties, because we're next door neighbors, so we would probably combine properties and all that good stuff. We would just get everything ready to go and start doing what we need to do. So yeah, that's pretty much the first part of this video. Like I said, the beginning of an SHTF event is the most crucial. You're gonna want to get everything done early on rather than later, because the earlier you get things done and set into motion, the better you're gonna be off, because you're still gonna have a lot of people that are going to think that it'll blow over real soon, the power will come back on, this and that. You need to already be assuming that it's not coming on for a substantial amount of time. Now, for the part of this is one prep, or one item, or it could be multiple items that cost a little bit of money that not everybody is going to be able to afford. And if you can't afford it, then I would highly suggest you at least look into it, instead of just brushing it off to the side or not even thinking about it. And it's a means of transportation, and like I said, the beginning times of SHTF are going to be very important, and having a mode of transportation is going to be very useful, especially early on, where you could do some scouting early on in the situation. You can map things out that you may not have been able to previously before, and that's going to be fan transportation. large fans. So you've got different kinds of transportations that use fans. You've got an airboat or a fan boat. You know, they use those in like the bayous of Louisiana a lot. They are loud, but they are effective, and they should hold up to an EMP. They don't have very many electronics. They are pretty simple to design, and they're pretty reliable. You know, it's just a big fan. So fan boat would be if you are in a watery area, you know, you've got a lot of water in your area, then I would recommend using, I would recommend investing into a fan boat. I mean, also if you're in the water, I'd also recommend investing into a sailboat. While more expensive, possibly, depending on what you get, you know, fan boat and sailboat would definitely be a very, very, very good investment for your SHTF preps if you are in a water abundant area. So you know, you're like Louisiana, Florida, coast of Texas kind of place. You know, those kind of places, Massachusetts even. If you are not in those areas, if you are in the desert like where I am, or you're just, you know, anywhere actually, a paramotor would be a very, very good investment in my personal opinion. While it is probably the most dangerous form of fan transportation, you're going to be able to go fast, you're going to be able to get high in the sky, and you're going to be able to see a lot. Now, a paramotor, if you don't know what it is I will put a screenshot on the video. You can see what it is. But it's basically like a glider kind of wing. It's like a fabric wing, kind of like parachuting, except it's parachuting with a motor. You know, you can get pretty high up, you know, 10,000 plus feet you can get with these things. Though I wouldn't recommend you get that high. They are quite loud. Again, they are a fan, so it could possibly draw attention. But if you launch, like if you take off from a very rural area where there's not a lot of people, if any people at all, like where I live, then you should be okay if you want to go scouting to the cities, or if you want to go, you know, scouting out around, you know, you can see, you know, maybe 5-10 kilometers out, you can see all that. You know, it's going to be very useful. You can track game, you can track other people, and I promise you, especially if it's an SHTF event, you're going to be going a lot faster than people would be on foot. So you're going to be able to outrun everybody for the most part, unless they've got an old muscle car or something like that, you know, that survived the event. They might be able to follow you. However, that car is going to be limited to paved roads and probably dirt roads, while in a paramotor you don't have roads. You can just, you know, you can go over terrain that a vehicle is, you know, that a car or a pickup truck is not going to be able to go over. You know, you can go over mountains easily. But the thing with the paramotor is that you absolutely must know is, if you want to at least look into it, they do not require a pilot's license whatsoever at all. You do not need a pilot's license. Let me just make sure you know that. You don't need a license to own one or operate one. However, you do need to follow FAA laws, rules, and regulations. No biggie. If you want to get one, you know, you can get them for about $3,000 and up. Probably for a good one, you'd be spending around $5,000 or so for a decent one. While times are good, if you want to invest in a paramotor, I would suggest investing in one and learning how to use it right now while times are good. It's just like with any prep, any of your gear, you're going to want to know how to use the stuff right now instead of learning how to use it during an event. Just like your skills as well, you want to have your skills right now while times are okay, rather than forming those skills or trying to form those skills when times are bad. Another thing dealing with fan transportation is, I don't know if they make anything like it. They might not, but you could probably make your own kind of vehicle with it, and that would be going between like kind of like a buggy, like a small light vehicle, and using a fan on it to propel it on the ground. So taking like a let's say you take like a buggy, like a not a go-kart, like a big go-kart, lightweight vehicle, no engine, no powertrain for the wheels, but using a fan on it. Obviously you'd have like steering and braking and shit like that, but you keep it really basic, where it's pretty much EMP proof. There's really no electronics to go along with it. You've got steering cables, brake cables, all that stuff. Something that's not going to be affected by an EMP, really. That could be, if you are good with building or coming with your own ideas on how to build stuff or how to make things work, that might be a worthwhile idea. Again, it's a fan powered vehicle, so it's going to be loud and it could draw attention, but it's a pretty good idea in my opinion. That would be something that you wouldn't really want to scout with, because it's going to be on the ground and you won't be limited to pretty easy terrain. You're not going to go over, you're not going to go off-roading really with a fan-powered car per se. You're going to want to keep it on like easy roads, dirt roads, that kind of stuff. No, I'm going to put it into 4-low and lock in, use my lockers and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to want to use it with that kind of terrain. That's what you would want the paramotor for. The fan-powered car, per se, you're going to want to use that kind of thing for possibly trade, or getting from point A to point B, more so long distance than scouting kind of stuff. So yeah, those are some fan-powered vehicular ideas for SHTF. Like I said, the paramotor is probably going to be one of the best options if you have the money. If you have the money, only if you have the money, or you can obtain one without going broke or having it be a financial burden, I would recommend getting a paramotor, just because it is pretty versatile. Although there is an issue with it, you're not going to really be able to do transportation with it, as in you're not going to be able to transport you're not going to really be able to transport goods from point A to point B, and it's really only going to be a one-person vehicle. So it's really good for scouting, and if you need to get a message to maybe the next settlement, the next town, and there is no electronics, then it's going to be good for that kind of thing as well. Think about it. Have a good long, open-minded thought and or discussion about fan-powered transportation, because it's probably better than you think.